Välkomna tillbaka, or welcome back. I might even do this in English. Alright, let me know if everything sounds good, looks good, is somewhat readable. We'll get into what we're doing in a little moment. If you are watching, sound off in the chat. I like to know that there are people behind the numbers. Kill all the chat apps. So many chat apps. There we go. And for the moment, the camera is even working. I think I might adjust it a smidge. There we go. Probably like that. Hey Ole, welcome aboard. Thank you for the confirmation. Okay, so last time we were a little bit stuck doing the hardest part of computer science, which is importing a config file in Node.js. To avoid us spending all of this session doing the same, I just worked through it earlier because it's not that interesting of a problem. Oh, dang. I need to restart the stream to fix the resolution. That's unfortunate. I hope that won't cause trouble. One moment. I might drop off. If that's the case, I should be able to pick back up. You need to change the video resolution. I accidentally cranked the video resolution too high from earlier. Yeah, it might come across fine for you. Just YouTube is shouting at me that this is not okay. I wonder if I should do that midstream. I don't think I can continue and sort of restart the stream. Don't think I can switch the resolution mid-stream. Okay, I will try to stop streaming, change the resolution, pick back up. It just might mean that there's a new stream started. We will see. I think we're back. I'm hopeful that we are back. Resolution has been changed. Hopefully Google will not complain and eventually kick me off. Let me know if you can still see me. I hope we get the people back that we lost there in the beginning. Okay. Good. Hey, Martin. So, I had this script for running the sidecar SQLite thing. Hey, Carrot Boy. And the devil was in this, like let config and then just trying to do a dynamic import for the config. No bueno, did not work. Now, the config is not that complicated. It's this thing. So it's an export default, yada, yada, yada. It's essentially JSON. It's just JSON with a little bit of JavaScript in front of it. So I decided that this is something I can solve with more Elixir. So I made it a template. So as you can see, this is sidecar.js.ex now. Hey, Tom. And as always, questions are very welcome. Happy to sort of pick people back up and let people know what we're up to. But yes, the config is now generated. So we're reading the config, we're splitting it at export default, and we're just grabbing the actual config object. Then I'm shoving it in this template to get this, which means the entire config is inlined, which is funny and not like a great solution. But it did solve the problem, and I'm not here to futz around with the nuances of ECMAScript modules. I'm here to futz around with Elixir and SQLite in this case. So I also made it, so when you're compiling this module, it will run npm CI to pick up the dependencies. This is a very dirty way of doing a compile, but it works. It works quite well. Because I'm treating this as a library, and that's mostly because at some point, if we make it more serious, other people should be able to use it. And yeah, like to keep it kind of separate in that way. So then we also have this, the admin project, which I believe I showed last time, which is an Elixir app that can show this to do UI. And I did a bunch of things to this one. It's actually a little bit wild. It used to be a Postgres app that had Kane file in it to keep track of changes that happens when it's connected to a Postgres. Now I've made it switch between Postgres and SQLite at compile time. So it requires that you set the DB environment variable, otherwise it blows up. That will determine what dependencies it pulls in. So it's either going to do Canafile or Electric Sidecar. I just slap that onto the dependencies. How's the visual of the stream? Google is saying I'm having a little bit of a low bit rate. Let me know if that's a problem and I can adjust that. I'll adjust it for next time if I remember. But if it's looking blocky or bad, let me know. Happy to adjust if that's needed. So dependencies, those are modified at compile time. Some of the database settings modified at compile time. This is not the final way to do it. It's just worth doing for now. It's a way to do it for now. And then if we look at the application, we are running an admin repo supervisor. I'm glad it's looking acceptably. Ole, that's good to hear. So we start a supervisor. We can look at that supervisor. That supervisor starts some children from the utils module. The utils module we will look at admin repo watcher and admin repo. Admin repo is your database connection that started last, and note that this is a one for all. So if any of these children fall down, the supervisor will restart all of them. This goes back to the whole Electric sidecar thing. Hey, Emil. Where I want to make sure that the SQLite sidecar bit is running so that it will not lose any data from replication. So if we look at what Watcher is doing, it's a gen server that just starts up. It calls utils.subscribe, passes in its own PID. It can handle info, any kind of message, and it will use utils to process that message and then make sure the messages are unique. And then for each message it's treated as a type and then used to do a Phoenix PubSub broadcast of messages. So Tom, yes. So Electric SQL is a tool for active replication between multiple SQLite and Postgres databases. So it's a bit of a wild thing. So in this case, there's a local SQLite database that that this can connect to. But it's also replicated to, so right now I'm connecting to my hosted developer preview Delio that I have on Electric. Hold on, that's not updated. This one, Pin8 Aquarius 9466, my favorite type of Aquarius. So they host a Postgres for me, and I can show you, like, this data grip is connected to that Postgres. And if I pull up the app, right there, that is connected to my local SQLite. And that sidecar keeps a WebSocket connection. So if I want to switch this to just say maybe not, and then commit, it changes here. So what's been done there is that it has both written it to the Postgres, used the Postgres replication stream to inform Electric that it was written. Electric has done a bunch of CRDT stuff to make sure that there are no conflicts and there cannot be a conflict. And then my SQLite picks that up using the WebSocket and reconciles the state, makes sure that the local state is good, and signals me that there's new data. So that's why I can get this kind of live, and I can make this sort of live. I can say, oh, refresh every 5 seconds. Data grip is not reactive. And then I can do foo, and I can save this locally to the SQLite. And with any luck, oh, I refresh, and there's foo. Data grip trial expires in 6 days. Don't tell anyone. So the sidecar handles replication. The idea I have right now that I'd like to explore, and the work of exploring this is supported by Electric SQL. So this is a sponsored stream. They're good sports about letting me do some interesting work, explore some of what can be done sort of practically and experimentally with this tech, while they actually build the thing. So yeah, one of my ideas is that I would like to put a ton of different geographically distributed instances of this app on something like Fly, which has this internal network. Stand up an instance of Electric or use the hosted one, and just have every instance run a sidecar and a local SQLite, which should give fantastic latency for something like LiveView. If anyone is interested in sort of exploring Elixir and just working on the live view or UI aspects of this app, because this is just a basic Phoenix 1.7 RC generated app, feel free to reach out. There is a repo, so everything here is like everything I do essentially ends up on my GitHub. So here's Electric Sample Phoenix and Electric Sidecar. They're right there. There's nothing secret here. So if you want to help tidy this up, help make things interesting, clean, you can sign up for a developer preview account with Electric. There shouldn't be a queue, and you can help me make this a nicer demo and probably learn something along the way. So if you want to do that, very welcome. Now, I was going through this. So Watcher, it mostly uses the utils module, and the utils module is a gnarly hack. At compile time, it will check if fetch env db, well, it will check if the env variable db is set. If it is Postgres, it will provide this function children that will provide the Canifile Postgres adapter connection thingy, so that will be started by the supervisor. And for subscribe, it will have the Canifile subscribe function. And for process message, it will interpret Canifile transactions to report them back as changes, just like which table changed. If it's SQLite, it will do a similar thing, but it will start Electric Sidecar, and that is already including a reference. In this case, it claims to be a PID. I'm using a local name, that also works. But it's running Electric Sidecar instead, and it doesn't need to do a subscribe because that's part of starting Electric Sidecar. And then it has a different process message function. So essentially, depending on which database you set, it will compile a different module here, and Watcher will use whatever functions are in utils. So that way I can treat it the same if it's Canifile or if it's Postgres or if it's SQLite. So index, this is the view. I just subscribe using Phoenix pub subscribe, changes to do, and then I get this updated message, and whenever I get an updated message, I relist my to-dos. So that is the lightning round of how I made this work with both Postgres and SQLite, and have live updating in either of them, because I'm a silly person. I could have just switched it to SQLite. That's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, it was quite fun. Any questions? Just let me know. Always happy to answer or dig in further into any particular bits here. But fundamentally, like, this will now, when you start this app, so I can shut it down, I can remove the database, and then I can start it again, and it will go, oh, that's an error, failed to connect, oh, database locked. I thought I removed the database. That's an interesting error. Disk IO error. Database is locked. And then it retried, I think. Yeah, it got up. So. And I can also then do local editing as well. Let's make sure this still works. Yes, everything is fine. So, if you have any other ideas, I'm definitely willing to hear. Otherwise, I think we can start digging into getting this app ready for deployment and getting it ready for deployment on probably fly.io. Or is there anything else you would like this app to be doing before we get into that? Or anything that's super confusing about what I'm doing? I get that it might not be the most obvious thing what I'm up to here. That might have to suffice anyway. But yeah, unless anyone else. Oh, my password. Oh no, it's committed. That's no good. It's committed and it's open source. I've open sourced my password. Okay, Tom. Hey, Steven, welcome aboard. So I'll try to cover that ground. The Postgres implementation of electrifying your database is essentially, it's a slightly patched Postgres. They are working on turning it into an extension that you can just enable, but they need some behavior that is not in Postgres currently. It's a rather minor patch as far as I hear. But as long as you run that patched Postgres and tell it to replicate against the Electric server, that just that's all it needs to know about Electric. It's like, it's over there, it's a replication point. While for SQLite, you need some kind of connection, and that's where the sidecar comes in, and that's where the WebSocket comes in. So Electric sidecar here, we're doing import database from Better SQLite 3, that's just a SQLite library. And then we import Electrify from Electric SQL node, which is their implementation. And then at some point I open a database. Let's see if I can find it. Electrify. Oh, here I open a database, I electrify it, and that gives me these hooks or callbacks where I can subscribe to data changes, subscribe to connectivity state changes. So that's a layer they put on top of the database client for SQLite. So the database client still does its thing. They just provide functionality on top of that and wrap it up so that they can run the triggers necessary to capture all of the information they need for the CRDTs. So if you're not running an electrified client, or at least starting an electrified client. So what we're doing is we're starting this and we're letting that handle triggers and replication, but we are using our normal SQLite, so the Electric SQLite, or the Elixir SQLite, to talk to the database. And the node implementation is just handling the triggers, because there's not currently an implementation in any language aside from JavaScript. So I'm using that. So that's the story of the sidecar, and that's how replication works. But both the Postgres and the SQLite need to talk to Electric, but the SQLite could be offline for a long time, and then when it reconnects, it will sync back up. So let's see. There are some things we're doing now that will not work in production environment. I'm not gonna fix the Postgres ones currently. Actually, temp/database.db is probably about right for production in this case as well. I'm gonna treat these databases as entirely ephemeral, which is a fun way of thinking about databases. But we need to set up runtime.exs. Admin, web endpoint, yada yada. There is almost never... Well, alright, we can that. We don't want a database URL. You're most welcome, Tom. Happy to explain what I'm doing. We don't need pool sizes and we don't need any of this, but we can do database. /temp/database.db. There we go. Hold on. I am not passing a lot of config to the SQLite, and there is some config we might want for SQLite, I think. Actually, no, I think it has pretty decent defaults these days. Probably don't need to pass anything. All right. Secret key base. Yes, we want one of those. Example.com. So we can pass a Phoenix host. That's good. String to integer port, yada, yada, yada. SSL support. So if we're going to run a fly, we're going to have a terminating SSL proxy. So we don't have to bother with that. I'm not configuring the mailer. So let's see. We can even be so crude as to say, I don't know, does the config get read? Well, we can do it this way. I already have exported DB SQLite prod mix release. See that it builds for production without issue. Now currently, this also means that at compile time it is packing in it is packing in my electric config inside of a dependency. That's a little bit of an odd implementation, but if we look in here, we of course have this node file, and that contains my config. Yeah, so that should actually kind of work for our case for now. What we would maybe more typically want to do is that here, I mean, this could be this could be an environment variable. Actually, I can do sometimes I do this electric config. That's not what I was trying to do. And we can also do db equals SQLite. And just source and shell, and I'll try not to commit that. And even do get ignore. I know there are conventions around like .env files and stuff, I just never really got into it. So in this case, I can cat that, and I can do system fetch and please blow up if it's not available. There we go. And this database path is perfect, so let's not bother futzing around with that. It's fantastic. Nothing could possibly be wrong with it. Actually, I want this to be a build time thing, so Well, right now it would kind of be a build time. No, it wouldn't be. So right now it's in a function. Instead we'll do add config path. Now it's compile time. Cannot set attribute config path inside a macro. Inside function macro. Oh, right, it can't be inside the case statement, probably. That kind of makes sense. Huh. That's a little bit annoying, but I guess I could do a quote unquote of some sort. That's also annoying. I'll do this for now. Means that if you are running the Postgres version, you're gonna have to set the electric config, but not too worried about that. Did I not save? Cannot set attribute config path inside a function macro. No? I am not setting it there. Oh no, this is all screwed up. Where is it? No, I'm a little bit confused. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions. All right, now it builds. Sweet, so we built a release now. I don't know what the latest trend is for building a Fly Phoenix app. So let's just say getting started. Elixir and Fly. Yada yada. Yada yada yada. Fly launch. So I do have a Fly account already, so I have this stuff. I use it at work for some things. What's it doing? Solving hex dependencies, resolution completed in. Is it complaining about my... Okay, that makes sense. This is an interesting error output in the middle of everything. Like trying to run something on my app. All right, have fun with that. Just an app name. Electric. I will not put it on my client's one. I'll put it on my personal, sure. I want it in Bogota. I can put it in Sweden, that sounds good. No, I don't want to set up a Postgres. No. All right, let's see if that works. It might. I don't know. I would expect that it might be missing something. Well, right now it's configured to race if there's a missing database URL, so I guess it will race. Oh yes, Pixel Hero. It's I'm gonna deploy this and then I'm gonna go home. Yeah, okay. And it blows up because the DB system variable is not set. We can remove that. Hope it was hope you learned a lot, Tom. I hope you come back at some point. Have a good weekend. Run mixed steps, get only prod, yada yada yada. Can't take the stress. Yeah, that's seems right. It's upsetting, all of this. So the Docker file. Imagine I can just set an N. Yeah, there we go. So db equals SQLite. And I want this. Let's do that. Anything else? This might work. I don't know. Let's see. That failed. Boopity boopity. Why? Deploy. I think this is going to realize it needs Node.js because that's probably not included. Actually, what image is it doing? Builder image. Hex. Yeah, how is that Elixir project going, Eamon? Setting up the event and building flow for integration tests. Doing all the fun stuff right up front. Could not compile. Yep. NPM not found. That's fair. And I respect that they don't want NPM on this. But now they're gonna get NPM on this. Docker install NPM. I'm just gonna Google it like a real madman. Yeah, someone thought this was a good idea. Let's try it. Builder, yada yada yada. Node version, sure, I don't really care. Curl. Then they pull down NVM and just bash that. They install, they install, they install. Should probably get a Node version. Really care what version it is. Let's try it. Slow engineering. Just add beer. Maybe I should have a beer. I'm not sure I'm allowed, but if it's dark enough, it might look like a cola. I'm apparently drinking coffee. Well, look at that. It seemed to have downloaded Node. Or no, that was just NVM. But it passed the Node thing. So now my deps might actually compile. Actually, I will say this is a pretty neat setup by Fly. So the way I'm using it at work, this is actually also part of my job, but the way I'm using it for client means where we have a bunch of different configs and yada yada yada. So it's a little bit more complicated than this. And they didn't generate the Docker file for us. I think I wrote a Docker file. So they've saved me a bunch of work already. This is very nice of them. Run mixdeps compile. Oh, opaque beverage containers. Absolutely not liquor. Just fill this up with absolutely not liquor. Seems good. Anyone else doing something interesting with Elixir currently, or with other tech? I don't actually have to only talk Elixir. I occasionally find other things interesting as well. I have a little bit of a hankering to get familiar with Rust, but that's mostly to be able to write nifs. Actually, can show while this is building. So this is something I've been playing around with recently. The Stream Deck Plus. And the text and icons that are on it currently are pushed to it with Elixir, which has been fun. Like working with this was partially very frustrating, and I had a live stream where I poked it a fair bit. But it's also been super fun. It's a very satisfying device, and right now I can do this, which is cool. I can adjust my lighting with the knob. Since I'm on Linux, I couldn't just install their desktop software now, could I? And then I can switch the light on and off. I can even fiddle with the light temperature, which is an odd thing. Super fun device, and I built some user space drivers for talking to it, so it's quite fun. All right, why did this crash? Because it did crash. Application admin exited, no match right hand side. Well, I shut down. And went. Path, home, Lovic, projects. Oh, no. I figured that would have gotten compiled in. But I guess... Is this at the compile phase or the deploy phase? I think it's trying to deploy. Because it did release, yeah, yada yada. And then it went started, exit code, started, blah, 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 blah. All right, so it went off trying to do this. Might be thinking about it wrong somewhere. Oh, yeah, this one actually brings in my config and then yeah, that doesn't happen at compile time. Hey, need sleep. So that config path gets passed the way it is on this side, which doesn't make a ton of sense for how I want to use it. Well, there's a few ways I could tackle that. I could change this sidecar project so that instead of taking a config path, it takes the config data structure, and then it can just write it into the file. Or I could say that it should compile it in at some compile time. That's not very classy. All right, let's see if we can't make this a little bit nicer. So I want it to be a little bit more resilient, I guess. So we just want the config as data. Sorry about the cough. I'm sure that's noisy, but system fetch env path expand. That's just because I like being able to use tilde in the path. And then it's file read. So I'm gonna steal some code from the sidecar and just load that over into the app instead. So I would have hoped that they wouldn't need to know about this, but that's all right. Let's see. No, nope. Wrong. So it's just a split here. Doing it the gnarly way. So take the string and split it export default, and then we list take. I'm not saying I'm teaching how to do Elixir correctly. I'm just doing some Elixir at this thing. So we can even JSON decode that thing, I think. Actually, it might have a semicolon at the end. Is that the case? No, it does not. So I think we can JSON decode it. Let's try it. So now we're passing in a config instead. We need to update the library to support that. But then we can actually have this so whichever electric config value we send, like we can send along the file with the Docker. So Or we do it a little bit wilder. Yeah, a little bit wilder is fine. Let's do it like this. Compile time! That's gonna be my war cry. We'll do it compile time! My go-to SQL library. In Elixir, you should be using Ecto if you don't have a very good excuse for why not. So Ecto gives you some abstractions over on top of some very fundamental SQL libraries. Under there you have either Postgres, SQLite, or MySQL, which covers most of the SQL databases. What was I doing? Config path, go away. And now we just have this config. Yeah. Ecto can be a little bit weird. Just know that it's doing it for your own good, and it knows better than you. No, Ecto is good, but a little bit annoying at times. So this is the electric config. Maybe I should just have a link to that so that we have it in our... Docker has this concept of a context, which makes things annoying at times. Actually, I could say this should have an .electric, and then we can just copy. So the .electric is like a project config for electric. Oh, what did I do there? Managed to switch apps with that sort of cheap combination that I haven't tried before. That was jarring. Hold on, do I have an .electric config already? No. Okay. Yeah. So now we have a .electric here, and we can just choose to ignore it, and in this we can say, oh, we'll load whatever electric config you provide. We can say that we will provide /. And for the Docker file, we can even do so I think we have So with this, I need to update the library to also support this. So changing from using config path and then mangling that, now we should be getting the JSON. So, or rather, we don't get the JSON, we get the full-on config, which is not quite what we want. We want the JSON of the config. I'll have you know, this particular library does not have a JSON library requirement. But we could add one because I don't expect to ever use it in a case where I don't have any appropriate JSON. Then we can do fetch, blow up, or yeah, JSON code. That should be roughly equivalent. So I can commit this, push it, just make sure it actually works. Make sure it compiles at least. I'm not going to try it. Undefined function config path. That's why it's a good idea to compile it. So there. So now we should probably do next steps clean, and then next steps unlock. Both of these are typically needed, otherwise it will not refetch them on a new updated version. So does it compile? Seems to compile. Very curious if this if this will actually work now. I think there was something unused here. Maybe yeah, that was that. Don't need that. So we're building again. Need tense music or something to sort of slot in whenever we're building. It should be nice. So again, about this thing. The text down there, that's done with the Elixir image library, because this only takes, essentially you send JPEGs to it. And I just chatted a little bit with Kip Cole, who's building the Elixir image library on like the CLDR libraries. So currency, localization, bunch of that stuff. And I mean, the image library is super fun. So just a ton of cool stuff in it. Oh yeah, I did not copy the file over in the Docker file, so that makes sense. Copy .electric to .electric. Yeah, works. Try again. Can bring that up. So I shared a short, like a YouTube short earlier, where I had set this thing up where I twisted a knob and just got it to blur an image. Like the amount of functionality that's in the Elixir image library is slightly scary. So it's using libvips, which is apparently a very capable image processing library that seems a little bit better in some ways than like GD or ImageMagick. Let's see, I was doing, well, there's these operations, like blur was what I was doing. There's feathering, pixelate. That's something I'm curious to do, to play around with. Ripple. And then there's also like it's integrated with Bumblebee and Stable Diffusion generation as well. That's optional. You need to pull in a few extra dependencies and stuff for that to happen, but you can do it straight in the library. Like for this text I was using, I was just using this like image simple text. Tons of functionality in here. It can generate QR codes. It can draw shapes. Tons of fun. Okay, let's see. Function list at. Oh no. I should have run my code. List at is not a thing. Hold on. I need to check my. Is it enum at? Yes, yes, it is enum at. That's a traditional Elixir mistake. Is it the list module or is it the enum module? That is always the question. And now I need to adjust that. No, not in that one. That code is over here. And as per usual, questions are very welcome. Don't mind explaining the shenanigans I get up to. Well, I don't have to use a remote builder, right? I could do docker build dot. See how that works? First, because I think my computer is a fair bit faster than whatever builder they will offer me. So I could probably have done this first to save a little bit on time. First run, not going to be faster. No cache. Don't have the rights to that music, I guess. But if we get this running on one node, then I think, I mean, we would probably want to set up libcluster and make sure that the apps cluster up across the private network. That would be one next step. Let's actually make a list here. Clustering, libcluster plus DNS. That's how it's usually done on the fly. And why do we want that? Well, it makes Phoenix PubSub work for us. Okay, it built fine. That's good. Then we'll try another deploy. Oh, that built fast. There already exists. Now it's running the release task. Version 1 is being deployed. So this would mean we have a single, if this works out, we will have a single node running connected to our Electric backend. And it will be running on top of a SQLite database. We can do this. Yes, it's okay, we can open it. Hold on, I'll just make sure I don't show you anything customer related, because I do have some of that stuff on my Fly account. No, that's fine. Seems like it deployed successfully. That's what it claims. Huh. I would have expected that I could go to the app. There. Electric.fly.dev. Internal server error. Nice. No such table to do. Kernel PID terminated. Bad match, failed to start. Ennuent read file. Oh, it's trying to read that still. Somewhere. Lexer electric sidecar init. Surprising. Oh, you know what it could be? It could be that they have cached the dependency. So we might need to be a little bit smarter about how we reference this dependency. Caching can be a bit of a trick, right? So we should be able to change this ref to be a specific commit. That should prevent any confusion. But it did build and it did deploy, so it's pretty close. One thing I wasn't entirely thrilled with, it seems like it completely started, even though some of the critical pieces did not start. Hey McBull, welcome aboard. That's not perfect. I need to look at the startup process. It might be that I'm not failing hard enough on starting a port or something, or maybe the port started but still produced errors. It still failed okay because it was like, oh, there's no table to do, but that might not be the case next time I have that problem. So I'd prefer it if it was a little bit more reliable, or a little bit more aggressively failing, I guess. It's not crashing enough. What do you all say? Would there be a point to me streaming this on both YouTube and Twitch, or do you prefer Twitch, or is there some reason I should or should not? Like, if I'm streaming on proprietary platforms, I might as well be on both of them, I figure. Unless it's too much of a hassle to get going with OBS. I'm considering it. Maybe being on Twitch as well. I know there were more people sort of dropping in on Twitch when I did stream there a long while back. But YouTube offers more quality and better latency and stuff, so I generally prefer YouTube, but yeah, I wouldn't be dropping YouTube if I pick up Twitch. I'd be streaming to both. Deployed. Let's get the log. No such table to do. So here we have kernel PID terminated. It's also saying maybe IPv6 is unused, and that's not even in there anymore. No match right hand side value error. Is that the old error? Yeah, this is a new virtual machine. This is just saying no such table. Migration's already up. Starting clean up. Starting instance. Exec node not found. Well, that would do it. Silly me, this is a two-stage. This is a two-stage Docker, right? Yes, yes it is. And I would want to transfer this as well. Honestly, I don't know that I need. This is where we compile them. Well, we need npm here, and then we need node in the next one as well. Can I just copy over node itself and npm, or do I need to rerun all of this? I'll honestly rerun all of it because I don't know whether it will work if I just sort of pick over those parts. So let's build run root npm install yada yada yada. What did it fail on? Only prod. Oh. For one thing, these should be after there. What is this about? Run root npm. Huh. So it's trying to do NVM stuff there, but it's just failing. But that was successful earlier. NVM install did not complete successfully. Why didn't it? Exit code 2. Of course it's Node that's fighting me all the way. Root /.nvm.sh. No such file. Can you clear the cache of the Docker or some? How? I never do this. Docker clear cache, because I think there's something something screwed up. Docker builder prune. Sure. Did that help? Yeah, now it's failing at a thing that's not necessarily cached. Well. Is this thing failing? Like I don't see why this is suddenly not working. Because it updates. Hold on, it was saying lib curses and stuff. So okay, it is failing down there, I guess. Oh. Curl. Is that it? I think that was it. Boo! Boo, Docker! On a somewhat related note, what do people use for CI and what would you like to be using for CI? Are there CI solutions that you're looking at and going like, ah, that seems interesting? I'd be curious to hear. Have some ideas about potentially collaborating with some CI folks for a project that I think seems cool. And if that happens, there might be some live streaming with many more of these types of things, but maybe we'll full screen it at that point, give it all the space it deserves, because scrolling logs is what we're here for. Fly deploy time. So now there should be a node should be installed in the image, which should help. Rough Fire 4804. What are they using to generate names? Like node name generator in Golang. Let me guess, this is what does it. No examples? Come on. I bet this is the one. I'm curious. Waiting for a remote builder. So one challenge the Fly has currently is that they're a little bit low on resources, so we might wait a bit. I should probably look at making my account a paid one. Should increase my priority a little bit. On the hobby plan. the launch plan is a little bit pricier. Yeah, for sure. All right. I'll hold off. But I think for when we're experimenting with this more and I want to launch a ton of nodes temporarily and then tear them down again, that's something where I want to be paying a little bit, which is fine for the scope of this work. I'm just very glad I don't have to sort of upfront build up the way they deploy nodes and stuff. Actually, I should poke like Mr. Curtin things like, hey, do you have a open source nice guy streamer plan? Yes, it's a good idea. But I'm currently being supported by Electric, you see. Don't think I can stack like infinity number of logos there. Oh, I could become like one of those race car drivers. It's just patches and it's just gonna be logos all over. That would actually be kind of fun. Like, I have some thoughts about sort of what's appropriate when it comes to sponsorships and not. This is the type of thing I feel is very straightforward because I'm already interested in this type of database tech. So essentially having a paid collaboration where I futz around with it and try to make cool things happen, like that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do in general. So it's a very good synergy, I guess. It's a match made in heaven for me. And they get to ideally benefit from me futzing around with it. If for no other reason than I'll be exploring all the sharp edges and running into them. So you could consider this like a QA session as well. Shutting down virtual machine, yada yada yada. No such table to do. That's a node not found. Is this? Let's just figure out if we're. Oh, this is current time. It's 19 here. It did not say node not found from what I can see. Print run app bin migrate. I should probably make sure that that's not doing anything criminal. Node permission denied instead. Come on. Yeah, it's permissions. Of course it's permissions. Nobody. So maybe we can do this, all this. Yes. I don't know what they're thinking here. Because this URL pulls a script. I don't think nobody will have a home directory. I don't think they typically do. So I'm thinking, does this... Okay, so we can say nvm dir before we install, ideally. And go /app.nvm. And since we've already switched to nobody, I think we should be good if we do that. Let's try it. Did I mention this is a 2-hour stream? It actually is, or that's my plan at least. You have nvmdir set to blah blah blah. That directory does not exist. Okay. Guess I'll create that dir. Just run. Docker files. The fastest way to frustrate me, honestly, but no, not the fastest, but I don't love them. They don't spark joy. Oh yeah, you couldn't put nvmdir in here? Was that not an option for you? That seems like an oversight. Well, random Stack Overflow, dude, you are forgiven. It's just my greed. I just want things to be correctly done from the start. But the people that fly no, they seem nice enough, so it's quite possible they'd be willing to help fund my fleet of SQLite apps, but I also don't mind it if it costs a couple of dollars for experimentation. So. Anyone have good weekend plans? Any of them technical? I know weekends are not usually when I get to sit down and do computer things anymore, but occasionally I spend some time with the computers. Mostly I spend it with family, which is fine. Ooh. V4 is being deployed. So exciting. Can't believe I got the word electric for my app. That's not bad. Ooh, look at that. Broadcasting change for type to do. This might be working. Just might be working. And look, it even has the data from earlier. That's not because we deployed the data as far as I know. So we can bring up data grip, so data grip connected to our fly Postgres. We can set it up for 5-second refreshes by a big curved monitor. No, that's the list ID. Fake client ID. Oh, there we go. Ta-da! We did it! It is now working. As far as we've taken it, it is working. Now, actually, I could probably scale this out to multiple nodes and it would still work because every node is slurping down its data from Electric. So even though we don't set up clustering, they will all sort of use a very local version of Phoenix PubSub to communicate. Because essentially I'm using Phoenix PubSub to communicate with it between the database and the live view. So that's not very far. All right, how do we scale an app on fly to more nodes and like more regions? Gotta check that I'm on my pay-as-you-go plan so that I can actually create more machines. Credits, current month so far, last invoice. Yeah. Billing. So I'm not showing you my billing thing. It's just not how I roll. Good standing, yada yada yada. Do I have a card entered? Probably, hopefully. Yeah, okay. I have a card connected. This is good. Arguably good. It could be very, very bad. But at least I'm not paying for databases because I'm shipping them myself. I don't know if any of the Electric folks are on the stream, but this is exciting. This is progress. Okay. Fly. Docs. Oh. Sure, let's go to the Fly docs and no, manage machine, no. Oh, this is just a reference for their tool. Hands-on web. I don't know what web launchers are, but database, yada, yada, yada. Apps. Sure, I'll go with apps. Apps v1, apps v2. Don't know. Okay, so I haven't looked into apps v2 fly machines. Might be cool. Not sure we need to get into that now. If I just want to scale out regions. Okay, so we can do that. I'll kill that terminal, give us a little bit more space. Also commit this stuff. What's in rel? Overlays? What are we doing here? Don't think I need to commit that, but maybe I should. I don't know. Can't hurt. It might be able to hurt, but let's not pretend so. Working SQLite fly. Just get that committed and pushed. It's been a bit. Allow the app to run in the provided regions. So if we do fly regions list, this is allowed to run in ARN. Okay, where can I get the list of regions though? Oh, fly platform regions, that's good. So let's add one in Tokyo. I want one in Tokyo. Fly regions, add NRT. And I want one in, I guess America needs one. Do you? LAX, that seems good. All right. Scaling and auto scaling. Fly regions, backup regions, count scaling. Fly scale show. So this is a shared CPU, 1x, 256 megs of memory. Count 1, max per region, not set. You have more than one instance, change your scale count with the fly scale count command. Tells us to run 3 instances of your application. Okay, so fly scale count 3. More nodes. It is placing some nodes for me. So one in LAX and another one in... We have one in ARM. Now we have 2 in LAX. So it's not giving me one in Tokyo, which I find disappointing. Being available, sizes, yada yada. I would like to say I want at least 1 per region. And I think when I did scale show, scale, count, so if I do 3 and then max per region 1. Oh, that's max per region. Oh yeah, so then that would probably force it to shift one of them to Tokyo. I hope. I would hope so. Because now we are running 2 in LA. And who wants that? We don't need that many in LA. Status dash dash watch. That's what I want. Okay. Yeah, now we have one in Naruto, Tokyo. I don't think that's what the airport is called. So probably we should have some pretty good latencies with this database, even if you are in Tokyo. Is anyone in the US and can confirm whether electric.fly.dev is fast for you? Can you check your latencies? Actually, live socket. I know there is a way to try. Well, you can enable profiling, I guess. Two-string diff, pre-morph, morph dom. Okay, so it's profiling that. But this is live view statistics, essentially. So I do that and that. Guess I should be able to just check my WebSocket to kind of see the turnaround speeds. So if I want to delete this, so you can go into this app and then you can write only appropriate things to my thing here. So I click the delete, so the turnaround is like, well, I need to count, which is annoying, but like 15 milliseconds, maybe, seems like. All right, people, wake up. I want you to try poking this app. It's electric.fly.dev/todos, or you can just go to fly.dev. It's like that's the page. Try it. See how you like it. See if it works for you. It should also be super live. Like if you write something, the thing is, it will only this version will actually list any of them. Oof. Oof. All right. We have a SQLite on every node, and it's talking to its local SQLite node. But if I go to my Postgres, it's right there. All the data is right there in my beautiful backend Postgres. So one of the things I'm considering for this demo is sort of also setting up an Electric instance and a Postgres instance on fly, along with perhaps Metabase to sort of show that, oh, and you can use this as a normal Postgres. It's just a nice setup. Yeah, but okay. That went easier than I would have expected. We are so much further along than I thought we would be today. Anyone have any questions around this stuff? If we do clustering, we will need to do some kind of deduplication of changes. Change broadcasts or local broadcast only, since each node, sure, let's do a to-do.md. Since each node gets streamed updates, like, oh, the database has changed, yay. Yeah, we might also deploy, make some updates to this and then deploy a Postgres version as well. So there are some nodes out there talking Postgres and some nodes talking SQLite. That could be interesting. But I guess this, in some ways, is close to the ideal that Fly have been trying to tackle with LightFS. I don't know how far along LightFS is right now. I was always more interested in Lightstream itself. So I haven't checked recently where they are with regards to LightFS. Deploying Django to production. Gossip Plumber, skip that. Shipping logs. Yeah. Wall mode in LightFS. So they are taking another approach to distributing this stuff and like having distributed SQLites. I think theirs has a kind of master and read replicas approach, if I remember correctly. That's one of the neat things with this. It does have a source of truth, so there is a server that has to be up, otherwise, especially when we're doing ephemeral servers like this, or you would lose data that has been written on those ephemeral nodes as they go down. But I don't really like the idea of a SQLite database being that source of truth for a bunch of other SQLite databases. I guess that's fine, but yeah, I'm not certain. Like Ben, who's working on this stuff, super cool guy, super clever. Still more keen on the LightFS work, and then like this Electric stuff is still really experimental. So this is really, really early days, but it's very cool. All in all, I think it's just the cooler approach. Well, a next step would be to experiment with what it would take to get the Electric server running on Fly and get all of that up and running with volumes and stuff. And I think that's probably for next time. If you're interested in having more of these streams, I'll be doing the experimentation regardless. But I think it's nice to sit down and share what I'm poking around with. I think this is quite fun. Okay, so let's see if we can just fly stop. Fly. Fly, help me. No. So can I scale it down to 0? Is that a thing I can do? Count change to 0. Let's bring it down. Ah, look, someone added something. Desired, stop. I'm just gonna remove that one. Can remove that one. See if it worked. No, nope, the server went down while I was working on it. Yep. That one's the last one running. We'll see if it's going down as intended. Okay. What does the UI tell me about my app at this point? Has it been stopped or is it just dead in some way? Oh, there we go. That gave me a nice big warning at least. Dead. No. Overview, scale, activity. Just want to see if there's something I should be doing to tell it to pause. No, I just scaled it to 0. That's fine by me. All right, I think that's it for this time. I will wrap up. So we finished making this work with the Electric sidecar. So this admin app now works with the Electric sidecar, and we made sure that it compiles in production. You tried to denial of services. Pixel Hero. I'm very sad that it didn't work. That's a bummer. So we made the admin app ready for production. Ready and for production, but still. And then we deployed it over and over again until it actually worked. Because Docker files, I guess. And then we scaled it out to multiple regions. Seemed fine. I have a little bit of a hard time confirming whether it responded well in different regions. At some point I'll need to figure out how to test that well. But yeah, I'll just make sure to have some Australians and some people in Japan and some Americans help me. Steven was in here, so I figured he could help me, but he didn't chime in. Didn't poke my server, as far as I know. Upsetting, Steven. Upsetting. You're probably at work. All right. I think we learned some stuff. Actually, this is one of my cooler experiences with the Fly platform, so I'm happy to have had a good experience there. I still think it's a little bit immature at times. I've had some challenges running it with a customer project, but it's not bad. It's definitely a very cool platform, and I think we have a very cool database system that we've been poking around with. So if you're curious about this stuff, poke around with Electric SQL and see how you like it. All right, that's it for this time. Thanks for watching, Stay curious out there. Have a great weekend.